Iran launches its first domestically made satellite into orbit, marking 30 years since the Islamic Revolution and giving rise to serious concerns in the West. With no global binding controls on space and missile technology development, how will the Western world deal with this latest Iranian advance? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Lauren Taylor. Iran marks 30 years of the Islamic Revolution this week. It also celebrates its first successful satellite launch. So what does the ability to launch something into space mean for Iran and the rest of the world? Alireza Ronagi in Tehran reports.
Iran's first domestically made satellite, Omid, meaning hope, is carried into space. The launch of the telecommunication satellite was timed to take place as the country celebrates the 30th anniversary of the revolution. President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was keen to be seen to play an active role in the launch. A message of congratulations from him was its first transmission.
It's a big event. In my opinion, it's a new chapter in the country's science and technology. It will promote Iran's position in the world and will also give our scientists and experts plenty of opportunities.
The Iranian leadership takes a lot of credit in launching the first all-Iranian satellite to the orbit, and it wants the people to be very proud about it. But here on the streets of Tehran, the feelings are mixed.
It's so important for the people. It's as important for them as the bread on their table. This satellite is a sign of Iran's advancement and a matter of national pride.
With feelings running so high, many find it hard to express their disagreement. But there's little doubt that this will increase international pressure on Iran and make tough economic times bite harder. The launch of the satellite represents a technical advance for Iranian scientists, but the country's ambitious space program has raised concern among Western powers.
We are obviously concerned about Iranian behavior on a very broad base. It's not limited to any one event or activity.
It is certainly a reason for us to be concerned about Iran. Obviously, there are dual-use capabilities in the technology here which could be applied toward the development of a long-range ballistic missile, and that is a cause of concern to us, and I think to certainly everybody in the region, Israel and their Arab neighbors, as well as to our allies in Europe.
Iran denies suggestions its space program has military goals, maintaining it has the right to the technology already in the hands of other nations. Alireza Ronagi, Al Jazeera, Tehran.
Well, joining us today are our guests in Tehran, Syed Mohammad Marandi, Head of North American Studies at the University of Tehran. In Washington, D.C., Patrick Clausen is Deputy Director for Research at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. And in Doha, Hadi Amr, Director of the Brookings Institute in Doha. If I could come to you first of all, Patrick Clausen, is the concern that the technology for satellites can be used for other types of missiles actually justified?
Every other country that has launched satellites has used it to develop long-range military missiles. So it would be unique in the history of the world if Iran did not do that. And indeed, there is a very fine technological line between the kind of satellite that Iran launched yesterday and a military missile. On top of which, Iran has never satisfactorily answered questions from the International Atomic Energy Agency about some 10,000 pages of documents in Persian which were found on a laptop that talk about a military warhead for the satellites that Iran is developing.
OK, if I could come to you, Hadi Amr, there's one report I saw of somebody, a president of the Institute for Science and International Security, a Washington think tank, saying that the rocket is not that sophisticated, effectively saying that this is technology that was in use more than 50 years ago, Sputnik technology, and not much to worry about.
I mean, myself, I'm not a military equipment expert, so I would desist from commenting on that. But what I can say is that in the Arab world, there are constituencies within the Arab world that are concerned about this, deeply concerned, and then there are other constituencies that are not so concerned, and there are still maybe some elements on the street, particularly after the Israel war in Gaza, that are enthusiastic about this. So I think you find all three constituencies here in the Arab world, and I apologize for my lack of technical expertise on military weapons.
No, that's fair enough. Sayed Mohammed Marandi, is it simply a matter of pride, a technological advance? I mean, surely there's an accepted reason for people being concerned about this in the West?
Well, in the West, they're concerned about everything that Iran does. Any sort of technological advancement apparently is a problem in those countries. One of the reasons for the revolution itself was so that the country could become independent and no longer be a client regime like it was during the Shah and like some other countries in the region are today. Even with regards to the nuclear program, the International Atomic Energy Agency has never found anything, any evidence to show that Iran's program is anything but peaceful. And even the laptop that your guests in Washington pointed out, the United States is unprepared to even show the laptop to the Iranians. The Iranians believe that if experts see the laptop, they will show that all the documents are forged. But since the United States is unwilling to do that, it's obvious that the Americans have something to hide. I think it's a matter of pride, but it's also an independent country really moving in the direction in which all independent countries do.
Patrick Clausen, if I can come back to you, I mean, is this really, do you think, given the timing, do you think it is more about national pride and not necessarily a desire to wind up the West?
Iran has great national pride in its proud military program, which the UN Security Council has repeatedly voted in resolutions to say that Iran should suspend. The Security Council has 3 times voted to ban the export of missile technologies to Iran until Iran satisfies the international community in its purely peaceful intentions of its nuclear program. Not a single country in the Security Council has voted against those resolutions. So Iran persists in a missile program which the Security Council has repeatedly voted in resolutions to ban aid and technology for that program. Iran finds national pride in this, or some of its leaders do. I think it's unfortunate that Iran finds national pride in defying unanimous Security Council resolutions.
Hadi Amar, whether this is designed for something that's going to then be turned into something more sinister, do you think this is going to change the US's stated aim of engaging Iran?
I would think not. I think President Obama would like to engage Iran deeply without a lot of preconditions, to have his administration do this. In fact, this, I would say, if, maybe should accelerate President Obama's administration's desire to engage Iran. But I think it makes it more important to do so, yes.
And Sayed Mohammed Marandi, is there any concern within Iran that the kind of timing of this move is in some ways unfortunate, given the climate that was coming from the US of wanting to improve relations?
No, I don't think so. I think the problem in the United States, as we can see by the statements made by your good guest in Washington, are that any action in Iran is taken to be negative. Iran is pursuing new technologies like any other advancing country in the world does. The UN Security Council is not a reflection of the international community. It is a council which is not democratic. If we were to look at the world democratically, the non-aligned movement, which consists of the majority of the countries in the world, support Iran's nuclear program, and so does the Organization of the Islamic Conference. So that is over 2/3 of the countries of the world itself. So the international community has no problem, but the UN Security Council is, of course, dominated by certain countries, and we all know that. I think that Iran is quite willing to engage with the United States if the United States truly does wish to, as the US President Obama says, unclench its hands. I think the Iranians feel that they have many grievances which go back 60 years and continue today, and that the United States really has to show change in order for Iran to be able to move towards rapprochement. After all, Iran in the past, on a number of occasions, in Afghanistan and earlier on with oil companies, American oil companies, gave the Americans the possibility to engage, and the Americans bit Iran's hand, the American government. So I think the Iranians will be careful this time around and see what the United States will do. Will they change in attitude, or will they change in tactics? If it's a change in tactics, I don't think we're going to get very far.
All right, to all stay with us, all of you, for a moment. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more on that discussion. The Iranian Revolution, 30 years on, conflict or conciliation with the West? Do you stay with us?